Who was Nero, and why is he surrounded by such controversy? This is the question that has troubled historians for centuries. Born Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, he was the fifth emperor of Rome and reigned from the years 54 to 68 AD. His rule was marked by his eccentric personality, extravagant tastes, and a penchant for the arts that was unheard of amongst the Stoic Roman elite. Nero was a man of many faces. To some, he was a devoted patron of the arts, a champion of Greek culture, and a performer who loved nothing more than to showcase his talents on the grand stage. To others, he was a tyrant, a madman, and a monster who would stop at nothing to satisfy his own whims and desires. His reign was filled with drama and controversy, from the death of his mother Agrippina the Younger to the Great Fire of Rome. Each of these events is a puzzle piece that, when put together, paints a picture of a man who was as complex as he was misunderstood. The historian Tacitus once wrote, "To destroy things indiscriminately is Nero's only way of solving problems." This quote gives us a glimpse into the mind of the emperor, a man who was as much a product of his time as he was a catalyst for change. But the question remains, was Nero truly the villain that history has made him out to be? The answer to this question may be as complex as the man himself. Let's dive deeper into Nero's life, shall we? He was the son of Agrippina the Younger, a woman of ambition, and Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus, a man of noble lineage. Nero's childhood was far from ordinary. After his father's death, his mother married her uncle, the Emperor Claudius, and engineered Nero's adoption as heir to the throne. This young boy, who was fond of chariot races and music, suddenly found himself in the center of political power. Upon Claudius's death in AD 54, Nero ascended to the throne at the tender age of 16, becoming the youngest Roman emperor till that date. His early years of reign, under the guidance of his tutor Seneca and the Praetorian prefect Burrus, were marked by moderate rule and public generosity. Nero initially had the opportunity to receive a comprehensive education, which included elements of literature, philosophy, and the arts. However, as his reign continued, his commitment to education and intellectual pursuits waned in favor of personal indulgence and extravagance. Once he famously said, "Qualis artifex pareo," which translates to, "What an artist dies in me." This quote encapsulates Nero's self-perception as an artist first and an emperor second. Despite his reputation for cruelty, Nero had a passion for the arts. He was an avid performer in theater, music, and poetry. He even participated in public performances, which was unusual for a Roman emperor. But what were these controversies that mar Nero's legacy? His autocratic tendencies and disregard for traditional Roman values led to tensions within the ruling class. Nero's first wife, Claudia Octavia, was also his stepsister. Their marriage was a political arrangement, and Nero later divorced and exiled her, ultimately ordering her execution. Perhaps Nero's most famous relationship was with Poppaea Sabina. He is believed to have kicked her to death when she was pregnant, although the historical accuracy of this account is debated. Poppaea was Nero's mistress before becoming his second wife, and their affair was a scandal because both were already married when it began. One of the most controversial aspects of Nero's personal life was his relationship with a young boy named Sporus, whom Nero reportedly had castrated. Nero is said to have married Sporus in a public ceremony, treating him as a wife, which was shocking to Roman sensibilities. Nero also reportedly married a freedman named Pythagoras, with Nero taking the role of the bride in their relationship. Nero's relationships were controversial for their nature and how they reflected his use of power. He often manipulated and disposed of those around him, including his romantic partners. Nero's rule took a darker turn as he became involved in political purges, including the execution of his mother Agrippina. Initially, Agrippina wielded significant influence over Nero and the empire's affairs. However, their relationship became strained as Nero grew older and more independent. Nero resented his mother's control and sought to distance himself from her influence. According to ancient sources, after several failed attempts, Nero finally succeeded in killing his mother. One famous attempt included a self-sinking boat designed to look like an accident. When this failed, Nero resorted to having her killed outright, justifying the act by accusing her of plotting against him. Matricide was considered one of the most heinous crimes in Roman society, and this act further cemented Nero's image as an unjust and immoral ruler. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD is one of the most famous events of Emperor Nero's reign and is surrounded by controversy and speculation. The fire burned for 6 days and 7 nights, laying waste to 3 of Rome's 14 districts and severely damaging 7 others. Now, the controversy isn't about the fire itself, but rather Nero's alleged involvement. Rumors spread that Nero himself had the city set ablaze to clear space for his grand palace, the Domus Aurea. While there's no concrete evidence to support this, the accusation alone was enough to tarnish Nero's reputation. Further controversy came with Nero's treatment of Christians. Following the Great Fire, Nero allegedly blamed the Christian community for the disaster, leading to severe persecution. Tacitus, a Roman historian, wrote, "Nero fastened the guilt on a class hated for their abominations, called Christians by the populace." This marked one of the first major persecutions of Christians in history, adding a dark chapter to Nero's legacy. Nero's reign ended in his suicide in 68 AD. Facing a revolt and condemnation, he chose to take his own life rather than be captured or executed. These controversies, among others, cast a long shadow over Nero's reign, painting a picture of a ruler who was ruthless and self-serving. Nero's controversies continue to spark debate among historians.